Hi, I'm Queenie Yu with Bullet Point News. Joining me is Lisa Way, Toronto's Musician of the Year, who was recently on the cover of International Musician magazine. Lisa grew up in Northern Ontario and has been belting out Gordon Lightfoot tunes ever since she was a kid. On May 19th at 7 p.m., she and her band will perform Early Morning Rain, The Legend of Gordon Lightfoot at 19 on the Park. Lisa, welcome to Bullet Point News.
Thanks for having me, Queenie. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks for joining us. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and the Wayward Wind Band?
Well, we are a band that formed about 15 years ago. I've been an actor my whole life. I began my career as Anne in Anne of Green Gables at the Charlottetown Festival and did that for 6 years. And then I traveled for about 20 years around the country. And I wanted to do my own concerts. I wanted to do that. So I handpicked some of my favorite musicians from Canada, all Canadian. And we've been doing these concerts for 15 years. And the Early Morning Rain concert celebrating the life of Gordon Lightfoot is coming to Stouffville. This is my 12th concert that I've created, celebrating various artists. So it's a thrill for me because Gordon Lightfoot, of course, I've been a fan of his since I was a little girl.
What is it about Gordon Lightfoot's work that inspired you to create this show, and why do you think his work has resonated so much with so many fans?
That's a double whammy question. When I was a little girl, I remember my dad built a camp with no power tools. We lugged every piece of lumber over a winding gravel road 2 hours back in the bush so my dad could have his dream of this camp overlooking a lake. And we'd listen to Gordon Lightfoot's 8-track tapes. That's how long ago it was. Every time we drove up there and back, and I'd belt out these tunes. And I remember just thinking about the beautiful lyrics of his songs as a child and how they expressed the beauty that I was seeing of nature where we had this beautiful camp. And I really truly believe that that is the key, not only the brilliant songwriting, because he studied music at Westlake College in Los Angeles when he was very young. And he studied jazz composition, which a lot of people don't know. So as a musician, when you're looking at his music, it's not easy music to play it well. It's complicated music. His chord structure and his knowledge of music was phenomenal, and he approached his songwriting that way. And in today's world, a lot of the young songwriters, they haven't studied. They don't know how to create music, and they get better when they learn that. Well, Gord, when he was very young, he studied, and he, from a very young age, was writing these incredibly beautiful songs. So I think that is the legacy that he leaves behind, is that as a Canadian, we feel so proud when you listen to his songs because he describes our beautiful country so well and the people. And if you've never been to Canada before and you listen to one of Gordon Lightfoot's songs, you think, what a beautiful country that is. I want to go to Canada based on all of the beautiful lyrics. And yeah, he really is Canada's troubadour and certainly a legend in his own lifetime.
With Lightfoot's recent passing, how will the band approach this concert and performance differently?
Well, we were, of course, rehearsing on Monday night when we heard the news, and I immediately just went through all of the stories that we tell. We were just devastated to learn the news because we debuted this show 3 years ago, just before the pandemic hit, and we had a sold out run, 3 week long run at Theatre Orangeville. And we had planned to take the concert to 26 theaters in 2020, and all of that got shut down. So tomorrow night, we're opening the concert on the stage at the Aurelia Opera House in his hometown, on the stage named after him. And it will be the first time in 3 years that we've done this concert. So on Monday, we immediately just looked at all of the stories that we tell. Of course, in past tense now, and just looking at what stories we maybe there was one that I cut that was about the time that he was actually driving in Toronto and heard his own obituary on the radio. That was back in 2010. It's a wonderful story, but I'm not going to tell it in front of the audience, not this week, when we all just want to remember him. The wonderful thing about the concert in Aurelia tomorrow night is that it's completely sold out, 700 seat theater. The tickets sold household like that, because I think it's the Uber fans and people who knew him in Aurelia will be there. So it's a bit daunting. By the time we get to Stouffville, we as performers will be calmer because we're going to be very nervous tomorrow night in his hometown. By the time we get to Stouffville, I might throw back in some of the stories that we normally tell. He had a lot of health challenges in his life, and somebody asked me, "What's the one thing that describes Gordon Lightfoot?" And I think it's that he never gave up. He had an aneurysm that put him in a coma for 6 weeks. He had a stroke that he lost the use of his hand to strum and play his guitar. And he worked so hard to get that hand back so he could play the guitar again. Many people would have given up because anyone who's had a stroke knows how hard that is to get your movement back. Gordon Lightfoot, he was astonishing in his perseverance and his work ethic. I admire the man so much. Besides the talent, I admire the man so much. And I think that's what we're trying to convey on this tour. We had hoped he would actually get to come see the concert this summer, or sometime this year, and we were devastated to hear the news. And that's a big regret that he won't get to see this loving labor of love on my part to create a concert celebrating him.
As you mentioned, the show began in 2020 but was halted due to the pandemic. How has it been getting back on the road and performing again?
Oh, we were able to last summer. We performed over 100 concerts, which was wonderful. It was more. I'm trying to think of the concerts. We did our rock and roll concert, our British Invasion concert, our Patsy Cline concert, our Parton concert. Concerts that really kind of rocked and made people feel happy. I saved the Lightfoot show. Because I wanted to, number one, we needed to re-rehearse it, so we needed to have that time. And when we opened it, I didn't want to do it just at one or two theaters. I wanted it to actually have a life this year and travel. So we're doing, as I said, over 125 concerts this year. The Lightfoot show, out of the 26 theaters we're going to, the Lightfoot show is half of those. So, and then next year, because I couldn't reschedule the whole tour. It's very hard to tour right now, to even get a tour van, a guarantee when you arrive at the airport that they will have what you need for your gear and sound gear and instruments. So we're hoping that we do the tour to the West Coast and to the East Coast next year, and that I can get those tour vans.
What else can the Stouffville community look forward to at the show?
Oh, I think if you're a Gordon Lightfoot fan, you will love this concert. And if you're not a fan, please come so we can make you a fan. That's what I say. I really think that Gordon Lightfoot's music spanned all genres, from rock to pop to folk. There's one of his songs that was turned into a disco hit that was a huge hit in the early '90s, believe it or not. And we do it that way in the show, and it's one of the audience's favorite songs. It's all ages. I had someone call me the week or when we heard about his passing, and said, "I saw your show last year, and I just wanted to tell you I brought my little kids with me, and they loved it too." So it is a show for all ages, and it really just makes you feel proud to be Canadian. So as I said, I'm hoping that this tour throughout the next 6 months, going to all of these venues, that I really think that Gord will be smiling down on us, because there's nothing Gordon Lightfoot liked more than a theater full of people singing his songs. And that's what we hope to do for the next, however long people will bring us into theaters. We will keep his songs in people's minds and hearts.
Leisa, thank you so much for joining us at Bullet Point News today.
Thank you, Queenie. It's been a pleasure.